Dear Diary, let's see if we can make this a little faster than our videos, which are usually very lengthy. I am not stoned yet, tragically. I just wanted to, for historical posterity, clear my name a little bit more and tell you some other horrific facts about the Trachtenberg Gate, where my best friends united to commit hundreds of felonies to frame me into jail to protect their enemies. It is the most insane story of all time, and I invite and welcome anyone and all to challenge that. The analogy, again, is imagine if all the blacks in America united to stop Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks, etc., from getting civil rights. And you would have my story. Now, you would say that's impossible. You could never have had all the blacks unite to stop Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. You would say it's impossible. You could never have an history where all the blacks of South Africa unite to stop Mandela and company from getting them equal rights. It would defy logic and science. Imagine all the Jewish slaves united to stop Moses from freeing them. Now, are you starting to see a pattern? Good luck finding a story half as crazy as this, and you don't even know most of the facts. But here's what makes the story unbelievably devastating to me, and most other people won't realize it. Most people say, wow, you're best friends, and people all over the world know that because I toured with them for 8 years all over the world. I was the 4th member of the Trachtenburgs. They were the only family I ever had. And so most people were like, man, when the Trachtenbergs aren't around, everybody would privately say to me, man, this is a fucking insane story. What the fuck is going on? And I said, don't ask me. I'm not the one doing the shady shit. But here's why the story is even more. It's not simply the craziest story of all time. That's selling it short. It's far worse than that sounds, but I'm not going to go into most of the details because this will be a 5-hour video. But just here's one that should punch you in the face. Now, you have to understand, I'm not like other humans in many, many, many ways. Example, I wasn't raised by a mother, wasn't raised by a father, wasn't raised by siblings, wasn't raised by any adults. I was a super latchkey kid who raised himself. That's why I've never given a shit about your stupid religious lies. I've never given a shit about your fake authority figures, your fake institutions. It's all fake. And as a boy who wasn't force-fed this garbage and brainwashing, I wasn't having any of it. When I heard the Pledge of Allegiance, I was like, this is some fucking crazy, oppressive, robot Nazi shit. In fact, the Pledge of Allegiance is so illegal that no one but me knows it's illegal. Bravo. Bravo, Americans. And also, that's one reason why I'm the smartest. I'm literally the smartest person in the history of mankind. If that sounds like hyperbole, I can't wait till you challenge me to a public debate with 50 of your friends. And checkmate. You won't find anybody challenging me to public debates. Right? They're saying now, I've been saying for years that Einstein was a retard. Everybody said I was crazy. When they looked it up, they went, oh my God. He just did it again, that fucking arrogant prick. He proved every breathing human on Earth wrong combined. Fuck! Einstein was a fucking retard. In fact, one of his only theories that is still standing is the theory of relativity, and they've already blown apart parts of it. And supposedly there was a 13-year-old who had to fix one of the mathematical errors, not me, 13-year-old, a different 13-year-old, some science kid, who had to correct mistakes in Einstein's theory of relativity. That's how genius he is. Remember, there's only one reason you call Einstein a genius. Because of group think. Same reason you believed in Santa. You didn't think of Santa on your own. You didn't talk to God on your own. All these lies, they fed into you, and you didn't question any of them. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Shut up. Yeah, I did. No, I'm an atheist now. Shut up. You're an atheist because your friends are atheists. Group think. You'll find most people who are vegetarians because the people they're around are vegetarians. That's not honest. You're just doing it that's no different than the goddamn rednecks who do what they do because everybody else does it. I believe in a virgin birth because everybody else I know believes in a virgin birth. Fuck off. Unbelievable. So, I've wanted to die since the age of 5. Now, I have to put that in specifics because some people get confused because humans are bad with detail. By the age of 5, I was like, this is fucking insane. These fucking adults are fucking lying phonies. They're idiots. They're pretending that they know what they're doing, and they don't. All these authority figures are fake. They're fake. They're fake. Everything is fake. Everything's a lie. Everything's fake. 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 I remember being a boy and watching Solid Gold on TV because it was the only way I could see live musical acts. Of course, they were never live. They were lip syncing. And one day I just fucking snapped at like the age of 12 or something, 12, 13. And I took all my shitty pop albums. They weren't shitty, but I was so infuriated. I went out and threw them all into the lake like Frisbees. And there was some good stuff, Eagles, Blondie. But I just got so fed up with the predictability of show business and popular music. It was just offensive. And most people will tell you I'm the weirdest person they've ever met. I've heard that from people all over the world my whole life. It's one of the top 4 sentences I've heard in my entire life. From umpteen people from all over the world, all walks of life, rich people, poor people, blah, 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 blah. One of the biggest quotes is, I've never met anybody like you, or you are the weirdest person I've ever met. All kinds of variations thereof. And a lot of times it's not put so nicely. Obviously, I've been called crazy my whole life. That's not very unique because every intellectual has been called crazy. Every person who challenges the status quo or rocks the boat is called insane. This is fucking, the shit was tired 50,000 years ago, but you humans can't learn because you're dumb. Remember, if you weren't dumb, the world wouldn't be in a catastrophe, would it? Human society wouldn't be a catastrophe. If you humans weren't retards, the divorce rate would be 0% a year. But in fact, they don't tell you the truth because they're lying fucking liars. But the divorce rate now is close to 100%. What they do is they distort it, but you believe all these dumb distortions because you're lazy in the brain. Example, we all heard the, divorce rate's 50%. Shut up. What they meant was it's 50% within 5 years of the wedding. What is it in 10 years of the wedding? Well, okay, 10 years after the wedding, it's 75%. Okay, so we're starting to see that the New York Times and everybody else flat out lied to us. The mainstream media, as always, you think, well, they lie sometimes. No, you're wrong. They lie almost always. If that sounds like hyperbole, step forward and I will list 500,000 stories by the New York Times that are false. Not just there's mistakes in it. The entire premise of the article is false. We could start with their stories about building up the Vietnam War. You thought the weapons of mass destruction was a fluke? Nope. The New York Times has always planted stories for the CIA and the military-industrial complex, and they always will. But you'll never learn that because you're dumb. What about the Pentagon Papers? That doesn't count, obviously, because by that point, everybody had seen enough teenagers die to go, holy shit, the media lied to us. And all the journalists and the media were like, man, we got to stop lying. All the teenagers are getting murdered for nothing. This is insane. This is fucking insanity. And how long did it take? How many teenagers did it take getting murdered? Americans. How many Americans did the media have to murder before they changed their tune? But I digressed. I've wanted to die since I was 5. Now, I didn't know what suicide was. I didn't know there was a way out when I was 5. All I knew was I was trapped in hell, surrounded by imbeciles. Once I started going to school at the age of 6, it went downhill much faster. Only by the age of around 10 did I realize, oh my God, you mean I can end my life and end all the pain and suffering? Now, I didn't have the worst life of all time by the age of 10. There are other people who had a worse first 10 years than me. And just to show you how stupid you humans are, because you're you're impossibly stupid. Watch this. You think when you're in your 30s, you're in your 30s. Nope. When you're in your 30s, you're technically, in your 40s. Your 30s are your 4th decade on the planet. But humans are retards, so they forget details and facts and logic to go with groupthink, right? 1 through 10 is your first decade. So your teens are your second decade. Your 20s are your third decade. Your 40s are your 5th decade. See how everything humans do is wrong? It's unbelievable. But enough about you. Back to me. So only by around the age of 10 did I realize, oh my God, there's a way out? I wish I'd known that sooner. The problem is, how do you kill the most talented motherfucker of all time? Unlike you, I was a superstar even as a little boy. My babysitters would try to rape me. Attractive females. I was acclaimed everywhere I went. In 6th grade, I was 10 years old. Kids surrounded my table in Mrs. Downey's class, and they said, we want to see your pen. And I said, why do you want to see my pen? They said, because we think you got a magic pen. That's why you're a good artist. And now remember, I had lost faith in the human race a long time before that. But that's a very beautiful example of what my life has been like. The pure retardation of the Nazi brown shirts that I have dealt with every minute of every day of my life. Even when I'm asleep, I have nightmares about the shitty shit you humans do. Do you agree? Okay, that is fucking sick. A bunch of kids surround your desk in class and demand to see your pen to see if it's a magic pen. I remember kids being in awe that I could draw a perspective. You draw a glass of water, and I would draw the water at the same fucking angle as the fucking glass, and kids were marveling at it. And I thought, my God, I'm trapped on a planet of retards. And that was before the age of 10. My first 10 years were impossible. Impossible to believe. I mean, I can list tens of thousands of crazy stories that are as crazy as this story. Neighborhood perv, looked like Tom Brokaw with a perm, Matty Brennan. He's still raping kids 30 years later or whatever. And every single person but me protected the criminal. See any pattern yet? And Matty Brennan fondled me in a neighbor's pool, and I immediately said to everybody, I'm talking seconds later, I said, hey, everybody, Matty keeps grabbing my nuts. Could someone tell Matty to stop grabbing my nuts? I was about 8-ish, I think. And then when I told everybody, all the adults, they said, oh, no, he's just horsing around. It's all in your head, which is code for he's raping all the kids. But if we do something about it, that's more work than letting him rape the kids. So we are humans, which means we're lazy fucking amoral pieces of shit with no fucking ethics, no spine, no courage, no redeeming value of any kind. We are humans. And so they all turned their children over to Matty to molest and rape at will. Decade after decade after decade. When I went public, they all said I had made it up or misinterpreted it. A week later or whatever, days later, he was in my backyard and he grabbed me. I was coming home from playing or whatever. And we had woods in my backyard, well, some trees. And he dragged me to the trees, restrained me on his lap, unzipped my fly, and started fiddling with my penis. Now, remember, every single adult said I must have misinterpreted that too. I wanted to fucking break my mother's fucking face open. When a mother repeatedly protects the pedophile over her child, that mother, there is no punishment great enough for that mother. Because if there's one human on earth you should be able to trust, theoretically, one human, it should be your mother, shouldn't it? But my mother was always the first person you could never trust. And you might go, yeah. Now, and remember, she's not the only one. This has happened to lots of people. Mary Tyler Moore, who just died. It's in her biography, her autobiography. Her mother did the same thing. This is what humans do. They're garbage. To call human beings Nazis is an insult to Nazis. Was Hitler raping lots of girls? No. Hitler was classier than most humans. As scumbaggy as he was, as evil as he was, he doesn't come close to the average earthling. How many dudes do you know want to get fucked and are so obsessed with getting fucked? A few. How many people have you ever heard of or seen or met who are obsessed with money? Right there. Hitler. Everybody agrees Hitler was not obsessed with money or pussy. He already a more admirable fellow than almost every other person on the planet combined or singularly. I can give you millions of more examples. You versus Hitler, if you'd like. Let's meet in public and debate it. What's that? Oh, you got to arrange your sock drawer. I get it. Now, that story is insane, and I'm not. I'm one of zillions of people raped as a child. I mean, luckily he didn't rape. He only fondled my dick. And luckily I was a mature kid, so I wasn't like, oh my God, what have I done to deserve this? Maybe I'm gay. Nope. I said, oh, this is an old guy who likes to touch kids. I wonder if he's touching the other kids in the neighborhood. We knew he was. And there was nothing I could do. Just like today, I'm an adult. I cannot find a policeman who will enforce the law. You cannot find a policeman anywhere on the planet Earth who will enforce the law. Step forward, retards. Step forward and let's do this, retards. There is not an attorney general in this country who is not a super criminal, but you're a retard. So because you read in the papers that attorney generals are law enforcement, that must mean they obey the law. Again, the Nazis are just your Frankenstein monster. Giuliani, Bloomberg, Bush, Obama, Trump are your creation. You can lie to yourselves all you want as a coping mechanism, zombies. They are your monster. You built them. Shut the fuck up, phonies. Now let's move on. Most people would agree, though, that fact that your mother protected the pedophile is fucking insane. I mean, it's super legal, etc., but who cares? Every story, you might say that's a crazy story. Every single story I have, except for the happy ones, is the same story. Right? I'm falsely arrested by Giuliani or Bloomberg or the Trachtenburgs. Do my lawyers stick up for me, or do my lawyers help Goliath cheat? You know the answer to that. You just like to play dumb to fit into society. But I didn't have the worst life of all time by the age of 10. I had the worst life of all time by the age of 20, because each week, each year, exponentially increased in how bad it was. Plus, as once you hit puberty, oh, now Christopher's very unique, smart, civilized, etc., in a savage world of retard humans. Oh, this isn't going to be pretty. What? He swore himself to pacifism at age 9? Oh, this is going to get really ugly real fast. Who can guess how's that going to pan out? How would a bunch of teenage meatheads, when they find out the weirdest kid in school is a pacifist and doesn't defend himself, how would they react? Any guesses? I wasn't a pacifist because it works. I was a pacifist because I didn't want to be like you fucking chimps. And I knew every moment I was pacifist increased violence exponentially, because it gives you savages a blank check to be more savage than you normally would even be. I was hit by a car when I was like 8. Guy ran the one way in front of our house. He ran the wrong way up the one way in his car. Smashed into me. My mother, of course, the guy said, "Oh, I feel so terrible about this. I'm going to drive myself to the police station to turn myself in." And my mother, you know what my mother did. She said, "Thank you. That is a very upstanding thing you are going to do." What? Now, even though you're a retard, a drooling retard, rather, a drooling chimpanzee retard, even that, I bet even you are smarter than you pretend to be. I bet you have ESP. Watch this. Again, I'm going to prove you have ESP and you just play dumb. I bet you know whether that man drove himself to the police station to turn himself in for hitting an 8-year-old boy crossing the street. That's right. See? How did I read your mind? Not only I read your mind and could see that you could read other minds. See? So why is your world fucked up if you're not as retarded as you pretend to be? Because you're all cowards. But enough about you, back to me. So every year of my life is more. Remember, I had the worst life of all time before my first false arrest at 17 or 18. And it's been, 43 false trips to jail since then, tortured. You can't believe the shit they did to me, except it's all documented, and you will choose not to believe it. Because you have one job and one job only in this life. Suck off the 1%. That is your only goal in life. No, it isn't. Shut up. Sucking off the 1% is your only point of being alive. And you do it every minute you're alive. No, I don't. Shut up and debate me then, assholes. So I've already made the story too long, sorry. So let's, so now I'm giving you the context, though, of where I met the Trachtenburgs. Now, even my friends had always been shitty to me. Now, I was a wonder child, and I've always been the most amazing person in a room, and people have always admired me and respected me. And remember, the people who used to bully me when there was no one else around, in their peer group, there was no groupthink. Every one of them told me that secretly they respect me, were jealous of my long hair, which they would pick on me for in front of others. It was all fake. All of it was fake. Every person who did bad shit to me secretly respected and admired me. And tens of thousands of people have said that to me in private. You might go, tens of thousands, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make sense. You don't know shit, retard. Stop doubting me. When you can prove me wrong once, then you can doubt me. So step forward and prove me wrong once, you retard. I've had you cannot believe it. I mean, most people, when they hear about my false arrest, go, that's fucking sick. That's fucking sick. That's just the tip of the ice. You're scratching the surface of the tip of the iceberg. Every moment of my life has been agonizing. You can talk to me, went to junior high with me. All I cared about was suicide, suicide, suicide. I bought my first car to gas myself to death at 17. I stole my mom's car at 16 or 17 to gas myself to death. Didn't work either time. I wanted to go to sleep nicely. Didn't work. And I know if I jumped off a building, we know exactly what would happen because the future is I know you still don't think the future is predictable. Who knows if Kanye and Kim are going to divorce someday? Who knows? Who knows if your friends who are getting married next year? Who can predict? Will it last until death do them part? Who can predict the future? Anybody who isn't a total drooling retard. And so I knew that each day I stayed alive, it would get exponentially worse. If I jumped off a bridge tomorrow, we know what would happen. I'd live the rest of my life in a wheelchair. If I took a shotgun to my head, we know exactly what would happen. I'd have half a face, and I would spend the rest of my life in a wheelchair. I've proven repeatedly, no human on earth has ever had better good luck than I have. No human on earth has ever had worse bad luck than I have. The problem is the ratio. 20% best luck ever, 80% worst luck ever. My friends have been joking for 30 years that I must have been Hitler in a past life, and they are correct. Except Hitler was ironically better than most humans, as bad as he was. Right? You all killed a lot. You could say, let's not talk about you. Let's talk about me. So I wanted to die every moment of my life, even when I'm making brilliant art or brilliant music. It reminds me how evil the world is. So it's not any kind of solace. It's not like in high school, and junior high, I would skip recess or lunch and go into empty classrooms and make art and draw and stuff to avoid the fucking evil Nazi chimps and the violence. Remember, now I would go home and my mother was super hyper violent, right? When was the last time your parents hit you with pots and pans for trying to watch the 11 o'clock news or watching Johnny Carson's monologue? How many times did your parents smash the door off its hinges? About how many times? Now watch this. Everybody says I don't have ESP. Well, get ready, asshole. Everybody says I don't have ESP. So watch this. I'm going to use my ESP right now and I'm going to prove it. Watch this. I'm rubbing my temples right now, and I'm seeing into your past. I'm seeing your childhood and your teen years. I predicted your parents never once smashed your bedroom door off its hinge. My mother did it so often, my sister occasionally, and I would have to chisel out the wood because they'd destroy where it was. You'd have to chisel out and move the hinge. It got to the point, and you can talk to some of my friends from junior high and high school, and they'll say, yeah, I remember that. That was insane. In fact, one time I had my friends over the house, like 4 friends. We were listening to some album. My mother smashed the door off the hinges. We're talking fucking Bourne Ultimatum. We're talking literally Nazism. Oh, the Nazis never kicked the door in. Shut up, retards. Actually, I would almost dare say, I bet you the Nazis never smashed the same door in twice. But my mother did it, 12 times or whatever. You can ask my friends. It was just so consistent that I just started leaning the wooden door. It was like the home I grew up in was from the 1700s, one of the oldest houses in New England, 1700s. My bedroom door was a solid piece of wood, old school, and they smashed off the hinges so often that I would just lean it up against the doorway as a sort of door because I got sick of fixing the hinges over and over again. Now you might go, well, that's kind of extreme. I have millions of stories that are just like it. Millions. You can say, that's not possible. There's not enough hours in a day. You don't know shit. It takes 1 second to do 9/11. 1 second. The plane smashing the buildings. Maybe 3 seconds total for the fireball. It takes 1 second to destroy the lives of millions of people. It takes 1 second to destroy the lives of billions of people. But since you're a retard, you still trust you and your retards over the smart guy. How long did Hiroshima take? Nagasaki? How much damage did it do? You don't know shit about shit, so stop doubting the smart people, asshole. I know your ego wants you to, oh, he's fucking insulting me. I gotta prove him wrong. Grow the fuck up. Admit you're a retard. Admit you have no spine and no courage. And maybe we can grow from this exchange. I have to belch just a moment. Let's make sure this thing is still recording because there's a MacBook Pro, which is total garbage. Even when it works, it barely works. Fuck you. I know you believed Apple were good because all the newspapers told you. So let's get to the Trachtenburgs. Now, have I painted enough of a clear picture for you? Every moment of my life was agony, agony, agony. And I was a cute boy, super talented. Everybody said I was funny. Everybody thought I was the greatest. Everywhere I went, I was the alpha male. I can remember being 5, 6, 7 years old, and I always felt like I was the smartest person in the room. You know why? Because it turns out I was always the smartest person in the room. Started smoking pot at 8. That was because I waited 2 years. And most of my friends when I was 9 years old were like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I was always the baby. I'm even the baby in my family line. And yet I was smarter than everybody else combined. Is that good? No, that's bad. And I don't deserve credit because my dad was the smartest person usually. My dad was smarter than most people on earth. Not saying much. So it's heredity. I didn't ask to be super honest. It's in my veins. I can't change it. It's like asking a gay guy to go straight. I cannot be a fucking phony piece of shit like everybody else. I never could. As a little boy, I would not tolerate any of the social fucking crap that you people like. Like, hi, how are you? Fine, how are you? I don't do any. Try and catch me using any of the fucking dumbass cliches you humans do. Example, have you noticed how often I say you know? You know? Do you notice I say every other 3 words, you know? And then, and then, You can't do that unless you're brain dead. You have to be a retard, super retard, to say you know more than once in a conversation. I will say other things that make a little more sense. Sometimes I will say, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because I want to make sure that I've been clear. Are we on the same page now? It's not a rhetorical device. It really isn't. But retards think it is. Anyhow, so, and now you have to remember, I didn't, after like junior high, I was pretty straight edge. I didn't drink booze or smoke pot because I didn't have the money. And then I got a job, when I was a teenager, and got a car, and it's expensive. Insurance, expensive. It's all a racket, and you still believe it's all legitimate, or you believe it's all legal because the government and the mass media tell you it's all legal. It's all legal. Nothing they do is legal. Nothing you know is legal. Everything you believe is false and illegal. Insurance companies are actually illegal, just like the entire judicial branch is actually illegal, just like the IRS is actually illegal, just like our entire government is actually illegal. But there's a reason they trained you to be a retard. Because if you had actually been able to think for yourself, you would have saw through all their lies, and you might have stood up to their empire. So they trained you retards from birth to take advantage of your natural retardation and to foster your natural retardation. They did a very good job. So you can imagine what it's like fighting 7 billion Nazis every moment you're alive. It's awful. It's pointless. It's awful. But unlike the rest of you who have worthless lives, you do have the option of committing suicide. How do I kill the smartest person on earth? Shouldn't I be killing the dumbest people? How do I kill the nicest person on earth? Shouldn't I be killing the assholes? How do I kill the friendliest person on earth? Shouldn't I be killing the unfriendly people? How do I kill the only person who's never let me down? How? That's not fair. I've let myself down a couple times. But why do you think I have the highest self-esteem of all time? It's not because I have ego issues. It's because I've spent every moment of my life with me. And I blow my own mind every day, and I impress myself every day. Example, I'm the only guitarist on earth who doesn't use his index fingers. How's that for fucking self-discipline? Example, when they were torturing me in RlKERS for 2 years, I didn't stray from my vegetarianism. I chose to starve. I would rather die than be like you people and eat corpses. So you see a pattern. So everything was even extra awful. I couldn't use marijuana or booze. When I was in my 20s and I was working in bars and stuff where I could get free booze, I didn't drink booze. I was very self-disciplined, working my ass off to try and do my music and art, which was intending to improve your retard society. So I'm so fucking busy that booze and weed would slow me down. The problem is, it's like doing a surgery on yourself without anesthesia. That's basically every moment of my life has been vicious surgery without anesthesia. Do you understand that analogy? Do I have to explain it further? Tardos. Thank you for your understanding. Now, my 20s were a million times worse than my teens, which were a million times worse than my, whatever you call it, preteens. My 30s, exponentially worse than my 20s. And my 40s, exponentially worse than my 30s. Are you detecting any pattern yet, Chimpy? Okay, then. So now, with that picture in mind, everywhere I've gone, I've been oppressed. I mean, I worked at the knitting factory. They banned me 4 times for telling the truth to customers about when they were getting ripped off. I mean, you cannot believe what my life has been like. You know, there's been times where you've told the truth and you've paid dearly for it. Now imagine that's every second of your life. There have been times when you've been smart and questioned authority and you probably got punished for it, questioning a boss, whatever, questioning a parent, questioning anybody in authority, and they gave you shit for being smart. And you know that you live in a society that hates intelligence, right? You probably saw it in your elementary schools or your high schools where they would bully, not the dumb kids, they would bully the smart kids. Nobody likes smart people. In fact, people hate smart people so much that the smart people, other than me, use a thing called false modesty. Oh, I'm not that great. Because that's what you retards like. You despise truth, honesty, and intelligence with such a passion. It's your only passion. I've never seen any other kind of signs of heart from humans. You guys don't have any hearts. You don't have any souls. You don't have any brains. You don't have any spines. It's impressive. So in this, we're in our 30s when I met the Trachtenberg family slideshow players. I think I was in my 30s. I'm pretty sure. Early 30s. And it was a miracle. They almost immediately adopted me. They were at the peak of their career, had moved to New York City, just done Conan O'Brien, first unsigned band. Rachel's 9 years old, playing the drums on Conan O'Brien on NBC. And they saw me, and they knew that they could see that I was a black cat. They could see that I was a stray cat, and they could see that I was an alley cat. And they did what few other people do. They saw that and they said, why is everybody being so mean to him? He's really actually nice. And they took a lot of people on tour with them. And then once they took me on tour as their opening act, they said, all right, that's it. It's now always going to be Christopher, because all of our friends are awesome. Musically, all of our friends are awesome as people. But no one comes close to Christopher. And they were right. And so from then on, for like the next 8 years, they took me on tours all over the world. I was their best friends. It was the best times of my life. But it wasn't so much doing fun shows and seeing the world. It was that for the first and last time in my life, I had some people who actually gave a shit about my well-being. Tina and Rachel looked out for me in all kinds of ways. They were like older sisters who protected me. I had never had that. I had an older sister who would bloody me all the time. I had an older sister who took my album collection and sold it for heroin. My rare album collection, I collect weird album covers and stuff from around the globe. This is before the internet. I spent like 8 years collecting rare albums. Example, because America sucks and you retards still don't get it. America's a fucking banana republic, except worse. I could buy Genesis albums as English imports, and the album cover opened up, and there's all kinds of great artwork and stuff like that. You buy it in America, and since it's a crass ape land, the record companies in America would get rid of that excessive packaging. Who wants to see art and lyrics and all that shit? So Americans didn't know they were getting fucking robbed blind, because Americans are the dumbest people who ever lived. Again, I have to qualify everything I say because you're the dumbest humans who ever lived. So you will hear that and go, no, we aren't. This guy's always right. Why would he be right? I'm not dumb. I ain't dumb. And I've dealt that with my whole life. Just retards. I ain't dumb. I can remember once when I worked at a conveyor belt company. We were tarring the roof. And I was insulting one of my stupid coworkers who had bullied me, etc., because they all hated me because I was the best. I was the most talented at everything, best looking, blah, blah, blah. It didn't help me. One of the first things Delfino said to me when she met me was, you're lucky you're good looking, because imagine how much you would have been oppressed and bullied and harassed and violated and assaulted and falsely jailed if you weren't attractive. Yikes. Personally, I don't give a shit about any of it. And I don't see how much my life couldn't get much worse. In fact, sometimes I wish it would, because that might be the impetus I need to say, just, you know what, I'm putting a bag over my head, duct tape around it, chug some vodka. I'm out of here. You fucking goddamn hyper Nazis. You fucking suck Satan's dick. Anyhow, so, and it was great. There would be times like where Jason would stiff me on money. I was supposed to get paid for a show or something. He would stiff me. So Rachel and Tina would sneak me a $20 bill here and there. Tina and Rachel were the best friends I could ever hope for. And I'm going to start joking up. But you have to put it in the context of a person who never had a mother, never had a father. Both my parents didn't want to have any kids. It wasn't personal. My mother shit on her first 3 kids. Then she got married, and trapped my dad into marriage because he had money at the time. Trapped him into marriage. I'd be a rich kid if not for a bunch of dirty lawyers. My dad didn't want any kids. My mother didn't want any kids. My mother used my older sister and me to trap my dad into marriage. My sister was a 50% accident. I was 100%. And most human beings on Earth are accidents, because everything you humans do is caveman, caveman, caveman. Me like to fuck. Me fuck. Oop. Me make mistake. Oop. Me having kid. Oop. Me too dumb to raise kid. Oop. Me gotta raise kid. That's the human race in a nutshell. Except I made it seem a little more complimentary than it really is. So Rachel and Tina were, and nobody can understand it. I can't even put it into words. I don't think there's any words in our language that define it. I'd have to explain. Rachel and Tina were like the best friends I never had. Rachel and Tina were the sisters, awesome older sisters looking out for me I never had. They were both at times like the mother I never had. At times they were like the daughter I'll never have. At times they were like my girlfriends who I could trust, which I've never had. They were, you follow me? They were my business partners who I could always trust. They were my bandmates who I could always trust. You, even a retard like you, knows how difficult it is to find people on this planet of savages. People who you can always trust or count on. Because sometimes you have friends who aren't bad people. You can trust them. They're not going to rob you or bloody you, but they're not exactly reliable, right? In a pinch or whatever. Tina and Rachel were a dream come true. And we were soulmates. The 3 of us were soulmates. And they felt that way about me too. They even finally said to Jason, we're not doing any more tours unless Christopher is with us. Because he makes sitting in airports fun, being in cramped dressing rooms fun, being in cramped vans fun. Because I'm not like you retard humans. You have no redeeming qualities, you humans. I know how to eat donuts. Yeah, I get it. Retards. And what's amazing is if you talk, millions of people know they're worthless. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do about that? You should either kill yourself or you should improve yourself. And you humans don't do anything. You eat another donut. That's your solution. Ooh, oof. So, all right, I've made this already too long, but we're getting there, aren't we? 38 minutes. Fuck. Okay. At least I'm paying some attention. Fuck you. Don't judge me. And in every way, Tina and Rachel were going to be my new bands. We were inseparable. Delfino and I were engaged. She proposed to me twice, although she used me. Like, that's what women do. They use men. You all know that. Everybody uses everybody else because humans are all garbage. That's an insult to garbage. I'm sorry, garbage. Garbage has some redeeming qualities, right? You can build mountains out of it with landfill. You want some mountains over there? No problem. You could build artificial islands. Oh, here's an interesting. Now, obviously, since I'm not simply the smartest human being of all time, that is really misleading. To say I'm the smartest human being of all time is super misleading. I am literally smarter than every other Earthling in the history of the Earth combined, and I can prove that anytime, any place. So step forward, assholes. But here was an interesting idea I had the other day. Remember when I ran for mayor of New York City, I had millions of brilliant ideas. Nobody even heard half of them because who's going to sit there and listen to 500,000 brilliant solutions? And everybody, enemies, fans, everybody said the same thing. my platform, 100 Innovations for New York City, was genius, 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 the smartest platform ever, smartest political platform of all time. I welcome you right now to find as many historical scholars as you can and find one who is willing to argue that anybody else in the world history was a smarter political thinker than me. And we know that because of the fact that they spent millions of dollars to neutralize me. The media, the government, torturing me in jail. You don't do that to nobodies. You do that to the most powerful, dangerous rebels in history. One of my genius ideas, of millions of genius ideas for New York City, was, I can't get into the details are extensive. Giuliani and Bloomberg did so much to increase garbage and the cost of transferring the garbage from New York City out of New York, shipping it to Pennsylvania, Virginia, and then paying them a fuck ton of money to bury it in their hills. You don't know any of this shit because the newspapers told you about Kim Kardashian and you thought that was news. No, I didn't. I hate the Kardashians. Shut up, liar. We will know you hate the Kardashians when your actions match your rhetoric. When you break the nose of a Nazi journalist writing about the Kardashians, we will know that you don't like Nazism. And until then, until you go after these super Goebbels and these super Julius strikers, remember, the most important Nazi was not Hitler. He was nobody. The most important Nazi was Julius Streicher. Look him up. We need to hang every Julius Streicher today. And if we don't, then you can't say you care about justice or orphans or homelessness or war or anything. You're a fake. Again, your words don't mean anything. Your actions. I have risked my life, every moment of my life, to spread truth and to fight the fucking empire. And you notice, I have a lot, right? I got a lot of team. When I go to jail with my team. There is no team. Occupy Wall Street doesn't care about injustice. We can see that by, look at all the shit they did during the Trump campaign. Occupy Wall Street was invisible. Well, at least Black Lives Matter really stood up to Hillary and Trump. Oh, that's right, they didn't. I'm starting to see a pattern here somewhere. Amnesty International, they really stood up to Hillary and her war crimes. Oh, that's right, Amnesty International kept their mouths shut. WikiLeaks was one of the only ones to tell you the truth. So, here was one idea I really love, though, and all my ideas are so brilliant. Now, I said, watch this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not simply smarter than every politician in New York State history combined. I'm about 500 billion times smarter, and I'll just give you one example. Here's one of my ideas. Now, obviously, we could get rid of almost all trash in days if we wanted to. It's not hard to reduce waste, but capitalism hinges on waste. You can't have capitalism and no waste. That's why my MacBook Pros have to be garbage. If Apple makes a MacBook Pro that lasts 10 years, then I'm not going to buy another computer for 11 years. So they planted secret coding into their machines. I know you don't believe me because you're a retard. Apple literally coded into their machines. This isn't planned obsolescence. This is planned suicide. They made it so their MacBook Pros continually degrade in intentionally constructed manners. Now, sometimes I'm real fast, sometimes I'm real slow. I told you, I didn't figure out that White Snake was a reference to dick for like 10 years. I can admit when I'm stupid, all right? I'm an honest guy, unlike you humans. I can admit when I'm wrong. I can admit when I'm dumb, right? It took me like 5 years before I realized Pearl Jam. Oh, I get it. Pearl Jam. It's another sex reference. They lie and say it isn't. Sometimes I'm slow. Sometimes I'm real fast. And what was I talking about trash, though? I forget the first part of that as I blank out. And I need to go get high because I want to kill myself again, nonstop. So the solutions are endless. Oh, I was just pointing out the MacBook Pro, though, and let me finish that point. I'm not joking. I will gladly look at all the internal memos and interview everybody in Apple brass under oath, etc. We can find out. We could prove it. The problem is everybody who polices corporate America works for corporate America. right? Your U.S. attorneys, look at Preet Bharara, one of the most crooked U.S. attorneys in world history. That's why the entire United States media hails him as a hero. The opposite of the truth, always. Now think about it. Preet Bharara is a U.S. attorney for Barack Obama. Trump has decided to keep Preet in power. Preet polices Manhattan. He's a federal cop basically for Manhattan and some other parts of New York City, not Brooklyn. Preet, if he's such an honest man, why would Trump want to keep him? An Obama appointee? Answer, because Preet is a very good team player. Now think about this. Preet thought he was going to lose his job this month. It's January 2017. Preet thought his job ran out. Now, Preet needs another job, right? The U.S. attorney didn't make him super rich. He's probably making whatever, $100,000, $200,000 a year at best. He's going to need a new job when the U.S. attorney thing is through, because it's always a temporary gig. Now, who's going to give him a job, do you think? Do you think he has a better chance of getting a good job from the middle class or from the 1% in corporate America? Take a guess. Take a flying fucking guess. Because you retards all believe that the U.S. attorneys and law enforcement and DAs work for you. You're fucking, no, I don't. I believe the 1% versus not. Shut up. If you did, we'd see your actions. And until we see your actions, everything you say is horse shit. Now, so Preet has to be corrupt. It's called science. There's no way. I was a little slow. I used to think the MacBook Pros were just poorly made in China. And each year they would skimp even more on the soldering and everything else. Fucking just throw some shit in there. We don't give a fuck. Because now we're making our money on smartphones. So fucking let that shit fucking deteriorate. Because we need to show consistent growth, meaning more profit every year, meaning we have to cut corners, etc., to maintain consistent profit. Because we're not going to keep selling new smartphones forever. We're not going to be selling new computers forever, right? Our customers would gladly keep their computers forever if the computer worked forever. And then I realized, because it was so consistent over 5 Macs I owned, so consistent that each week, each month, each year, new glitches introduced consistently. Oh, this thing stopped working. This thing stopped working. And I could tell after a while, I realized, wait a minute, this is not because they built a faulty product. This is because they deliberately coded into it all of these glitches. So you eventually go, fuck this, I'm getting the new model. I know you don't believe me. Nobody believed me when I told tens of thousands of other things. When I wrote article after article about using jets to take down the Twin Towers, everybody said I was crazy. And we see this. I've predicted zillions of things, and we could have saved everybody's lives, improved everybody's lives, and you retards will never learn to listen, so fuck off. Let's get back to the Trachtenburgs. Where was I going with that, though? Oh, I want to make the trash point, though, first. Now, New York City was spending whatever it was at the time, $800 million a year to move the trash to Virginia, and our sanitation budget was out of control. Now, you might not think $800 million is a lot. Yes, I do. Shut up. If you thought it was, you'd be rioting in the streets. We'll know when you think $800 million is a lot of money, because you will be rioting in the streets. Until then, you're a lying fucking liar. You're fucking Giuliani's little fucking sex toy. You're Trump and Hillary's cheap little sex toy. And they fucking make you suck it every day because you're a fucking retard chimp. But enough about you. One of my many solutions was, I said, watch this one. I would, in New York Bay, and you also have Long Island Sound, I said, I would actually create a cement tub, concrete tub, and we would then put your stupid landfill in those concrete tubs. We're talking about a lot of trash. And they don't recycle almost any of it. And recycling is fake to begin with. I know you all believed recycling was real. Because you're stupid. They now doubled your costs. They now doubled their work. Their no-show work job. They now doubled their mafia resources. You don't get it because you're a retard. They now collect your trash and your recyclables. Retards. But whatever. There's no saving you people. I'm only making this message to try and save myself. I've given up on you people. because you're unbelievable, dumb, retard, evil Nazis. The problem is we need to erase you. We can't just let you keep fucking destroying everything because you destroy more things each day. We need to remove you from the planet. Luckily, it looks like nature's knows what's going on, and nature is going to erase you, people. Thank goodness. Please take me first. How smart is that? Giant concrete tubs in the bay and Long Island Sound, and we put all the landfill in there. Now, I've just created 25 new islands, saved you tens of billions of dollars, and we can now turn around and sell those islands. So I just made you, let's see, I just saved you a couple trillion, because, I mean, it depends on the time frame. If it's 20 years, 30 years, did I save you that money forever? We might be talking I saved you zillions of dollars just in sanitation removal costs. But there's also the amounts of money I got you from this new property that I created. I can go on and on and on, but that's a little smarter than your plan, isn't it? The other day I had this really interesting idea because, it's international waters, there's no laws. So what would stop somebody from finding parts of the Atlantic or other ocean or other parts of water bodies of water where there is no law, no nation owns that body of water, building your own islands, whether it's with trash or, I have these V8 bottles. I would love to tie these bitches together and create floating islands. Wouldn't be hard to do. How many plastic bottles gets thrown out per week in New York? It's impossible. You could put them all together and create islands, floating islands, easily. And it's a win-win. You'd have to make it maybe hurricane-proof, a few other things, but it can be done. And then you could theoretically start a new country. Of course, would the super Nazis let you? Ding, 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 ding. You'd need to have, now, of course, you would say, your laws say we can do this. And they'd say, yeah, but we changed our mind because you got resources or people who should be paying us money, taxes, etc. We're not going to let you get away with this, living on your own, because now you're going to give ideas to other people that they shouldn't have to pay all these mafia tributes to their government. And if you think anything you do with government is legal, you're a retard. There is nothing government does that is legal. The only things that government does that are legal are the things you signed an agreement to, right? You literally signed an agreement saying, I agree to this, 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 and this, and this. You never did. You could say, oh, no, I did sign and get my driver's license. Yeah, that doesn't count, asshole. But regardless, you never agreed to any of this stuff. And they could say, well, would you elect representatives? Nice try, Hitler. That was Hitler's argument, Hitler. Stop it. Elected representatives was always a scam by the 1% against the sheep. To say, oh, you don't like these crooked politicians we keep installing? Well, it's your fault, not ours. Wink, wink, and you retards believe it every time. I wish I could use my brains for evil, because I would be living like a king off you retards. So now back to our point about the Trachtenburgs and how devastating it is. Because this video is supposed to be mostly about how seriously bad it is. Now, you have to understand, I think I've painted a pretty clear picture. Tina and Rachel were my best friends ever. Even Jason and I had a great time on tour because he and I were both stoners, and Tina and Rachel weren't. So Jason and I would often have to sneak out, and without Rachel knowing, because she was a little daughter, we'd have to smoke pot and do things like that. And then she would find his bongs and smash them on tour in a fit of rage, or she'd find his pot and get rid of it in a fit of rage. And I had to try and fight that because she had a crush on me since the time she was like 11. So I said, let me take care of this, Jason. And I'd say, Rachel. Like, yeah, I told you. I'd say, Rachel, the gummy bears and crap you eat are actually more harmful than the pot your dad smokes. And it took me like a year or more to finally get her to accept that her dad smokes pot and that there's nothing wrong with it. I've always wasted my energy in my life fixing other people's lives. So she stopped smashing his bongs and stealing his money and throwing out his weed, etc., etc. Again, and this is what I've done my whole life. You can talk to some people. Some people are honest and they admit CXB changed my life forever. Christopher changed my life forever in good ways. There are so many people whose lives I've changed dramatically because they listened to me. But enough about that. Because I could make 600 videos about that. You'd go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know. Yeah, no kidding. You don't know anything. So why the fuck do you give up? Why do you think if you don't know anything? You should reserve any kinds of thoughts and admit that you don't know anything and stop fucking jumping to conclusions. Jason and I had a lot of fun together. Loved Jason. I loved their music. I loved being their roadie. They didn't ask me to be a roadie, but I liked helping set up stuff and things. I like to be productive. I'm not an asshole like you douchebags. I make the world a better place, while you make the world a worse place. But so I was the fourth Trachtenberg, and Rachel and Tina would have me over their house for breakfast and all kinds of stuff when we both lived in the East Village. And Jessica Delfino, my fiance, would get angry about it. Of course, she was a psychotic, angry human being who had all kinds of issues that none of us could solve. I tried for 4 years. Tried for 4 years to fix her insanity, and I couldn't. I gave up. Is there anything else I need to say about this? I want to go eat dinner now. Rachel and Tina, you can't articulate our relationship because I'm not sure anyone's ever had a relationship like it before. Mother, daughter, and friend. The three of us. It was great because Tina and Rachel were almost like friends. They weren't really like mother-daughter. They were like friends or sisters. And I think that's beautiful. I'm not into this, the Nazism of most adults, right? I am in charge. I am der Führer. You obey me because I said so. How many parents act like Hitler? Answer, 99% of them. And you all say, well, that's correct. Acting like Hitler is good because you're psychopaths. Anyhow, what else do we need to say? So, and I wanted to spend every moment of the rest of my life with Rachel and Tina. They were awesome. And even though they did the sickest shit in recorded history to their best friend, again, it's misleading to call it best friend, but work with me here. The fact that one day they just decided to turn around and murder their best friend, and they can't say, no, we didn't try to murder them. They're liars. I mean, first of all, they sent Jordy Trachtenberg, a giant oaf, to come beat me up at Sidewalk Cafe, and there were a lot of witnesses, and I'm running through the streets and stuff. Now, people have gotten killed many times in those scenarios. Look at those, what's the famous story, Bensonhurst, is that it? There's a bunch of stories like that in New York history. Famous stories where the black kid chased by the white people, and he gets killed running into traffic to keep himself safe. Those people are murderers. By law. Now remember, not only did Tina and Rachel turn on me, and there's so many details that are just unbelievable. Like remember, one of the things that first started breaking up our relationship is Tina and Jason cheated Rachel and I in the City Hall project. We literally, Rachel and I literally almost stopped Bloomberg stealing a third term and winning that election. There was only two people on the planet Earth telling the truth about Bloomberg, and it was me and Rachel. And part one at City Hall was devastating, worked flawlessly because everything I do is fucking brilliant and flawless. And then part two was sabotaged by Jason and Tina secretly, and they never wanted to answer questions. Now, you can tell when somebody's lying to you and somebody has evil intentions when they plead the fifth. To this day, Jason and Tina don't want to talk about it. Really weird. They don't say, oh, we made a mistake. They don't want to talk about it. Some real shady shit. And they literally murdered people with that decision. You're going to say that's hyperbole. It's not hyperbole, retard. Can I find many people who died because the Trachtenbergs lied and helped Bloomberg steal a third term? Of course I can prove lots of people died. You don't know anything about anything? I mean, are you telling me you're so retarded that I would need to explain that one to you? Because any fucking semi-retarded adult knows that politicians kill people every day. Just like big business kills people every day. Just like Apple killed lots of people. Now, are you so hyper, super duper retarded that you don't know how Apple kills lots of people? I'm not even talking about their factories in China, which are poisoning their workers. Fuck that. I'm talking about how Apple knowingly made sure their phones and their Apple products didn't have kill switches in because they wanted their customers to be mugged. Because what happens when a person is mugged? Well, now you've got to go buy a new iPhone. Now you've got to go buy a new iPad. Now you got to go a new set of expensive headphones, etc., etc. You see? And there was even a term for it called apple picking. There were so many crimes, and Apple was loving all their customers getting mugged and killed. I was mugged for my MacBook Pro. And Apple will never be held accountable. By law, they're literally accountable. But you still think, well, no, that's wrong, but not legal. I mean, it's not illegal. Shut up. Stop doubting smart people for once. Try it for a year. Listen to us smart people for a year and see how much better things get worse. Or keep doing it your retard way. And then it got uglier, long story short, with the when Rachel told me her parents had stolen her entire $6,000 life savings because she started working at the age of 9 or whatever, and they would pay her for gigs. You should. It's child fucking labor, right? Only one thing worse than making your 9-year-old girl do lots of work, and that's not paying her the money you said you would. And they stole her $6,000 savings, her life savings, to pay their bills because they had fucked up their own career via hubris, laziness, etc. So because they fucked up their career, and remember, I was the 4th member of the family, so I know a lot of their secrets. And they really badly fucked up their career. They had a perfect career, and they fucked it up through hubris, laziness, and Jason's neurosis and stupidity. Jason fucked up so many things. Like, they had booked a tour of Europe. It was an amazing tour, and he fucked all that up. And then, or another time, they booked a UK tour that was amazing. And then Jason, because he didn't think, why would you double check something that critical? He fucked up, and he gave a European booker the wrong dates. So all other of the Bath concert. And so every other concert was now fucked. And you couldn't reschedule them that late in the game. They were already, now the correct dates you would want are already pre-booked. You're too late, asshole. All those dates ruined. Jason was a fuck up. I loved him like a retarded brother. Tina was the smarts. Tina was the brains. Tina was the adult. And Tina was amazing. Tina was my dream come true. Best friend you could ever imagine. I miss Tina every moment of every day. You can't understand how much I loved Tina. And she loved me. And then she just turns. You've seen all women can do that. They turn on a dime. Women can go from face A to face B faster than any man could ever do. And Tina, she was replaced by somebody else I don't recognize. Same with Rachel. The Rachel Trachtenberg I knew and loved doesn't exist anymore. She's been replaced with somebody else, a creepy robot. And that's devastating. I would have much rather lost them in a car accident, logically. Duh. And remember, they've always pled the fifth on the City Hall project they sabotaged. They've always pled the fifth on all the dirty shit they did to me to help Harry Stuckey get away with stealing my life savings. You got that? I helped Rachel try to get her life savings back. So Rachel said he's the only person who will stand up to my mom and dad because they're a indie rock mafia. T.Y. Christopher is the only one who will stick up for me against my parents. So I should do whatever I can to help my parents destroy Christopher. That was Rachel's logic. And they did it to me in thousands of different ways. Example, super cute with Julia, who's now in Sunflower Bean. Super cute. I was the only adult really looking out for super cute because I stick up for the underdog, whereas adults only give a shit about themselves. What are my kids going to do for me? And if you look at Julia's dad, Alec Cumming, what a fucking snake. He neglected her for 13 years until I got her in the New York Times. And then once his daughter's in the New York Times for music, something he never could do as a musician because he's a failure, he started sponging off his daughter's fame and notoriety. I mean, he's fucking, really, how many times was your fucking avatar on Facebook your daughter? It was never until she started getting modeling contracts and stuff. Fucking stage dad bitch piece of shit. Now, Julia knew Christopher had always looked out for her when her parents were shitty. And so what did she do? She turned around and shit on Christopher, the only person who stuck up for her, so she could side with her dad because she wanted to believe the happy lie that her dad now loves her. Nope. He's a fucking 100% skeeve, classless piece of shit, sponging off others' work. But the more I did, I got super cute, all kinds of great gigs, great press, and everything else. So what did super cute do in return? Well, what do humans always do? Evil, evil, evil. The more gigs I got super cute, the more they worked to make sure I could never get any more gigs. Example, I used to play the The Rubin Museum every month with Master Lee and Chink Floyd. We played the Rubin Museum. Great gig. So super cute. Got me canned from that gig. Now you might go, there's something missing in the story. Why would people, if you get them gigs, why would they turn around and lose you gigs? Really? Before I was born, that was the rule, not the exception. Look up a guy named Socrates. You can find millions of stories like Socrates. Most stories are like Socrates. And Socrates' story is just like me. If you're honest, they will persecute you. If you're smart, they will persecute you. If you are good, they will persecute you. Nice guys finish last. No good deed goes unpunished. So the more good things I did for Tina and Rachel, after 8 years. Now, what was amazing is even when we were best of friends, I said to them, what's amazing is you guys haven't sold me out yet. You will at some point. That's the human condition. To say you will do super evil Nazi shit is like saying someday it will rain. There's a pretty good chance someday it will rain, scientifically. And I used to just congratulate them that they didn't sell me out for 8 years. Painful. If you miss your plane by 5 hours, that's not painful.